Let us discuss 16th September 2015 Hindu newspaper. The first thing is related to the maternal and child health care delivery in India. So normally government conducts a National Family Health Survey. It gives information in relation to social and health indicators in the society. But somehow the National Family Health Survey third round, after that nothing has moved forward. So there is a rapid survey on children recently was taken up by the government. Now this article is comparing the achievements got in India after NFHS 3 and as the rapid survey on children. Now let us take, with regard to the childbirth, there are certain important factors over here. The first one is prenatal and antenatal care. And the next is institutionalized delivery. So first is prenatal and antenatal care. The second is institutional delivery. After the institutional delivery, the instant breastfeeding to the child. And next is early neonatal care. So this lack of early neonatal care is the reason for the infant mortality rate in India, higher infant mortality rate. And after that, further to this, are associated with this, the nutrition of the children, the safe drinking water, and we have this sanitation. These are the factors which are also related with the health. These are the factors that were analyzed by this rapid survey on children. Now I will call this as the major contributory factors towards the mother and child health care. These are associated factors or determinants of the mother and child health care. Yesterday we have seen, the article which recommends us, we have to shift away from this mother and child health care only public health care system to the comprehensive health care system. Now, the government of India, it has brought in Janani Suraksha Yojana. The objective of the Janani Suraksha Yojana is to bring in this institutional delivery. Now, the government started under this program incentivizing the women who had delivered in the governmental institutions. Now, in this context, many women have taken or accessed the institutional delivery to take this particular money. But I personally have a disregard for this, or else I can say that no woman comes to the hospital just for the few bucks which are being provided over there. Majority of them, they are not accessing the institutional deliveries just to lack of the poor healthcare system. But however, this article supports that the increase in institutional service or institutional deliveries, it is majorly related to the incentivization of the women over there. So when the government was serious through Janani Suraksha Yojana, it has led to many benefits in the institutional delivery. That also leads to instant benefit in breastfeeding practices. But however, you have to underline the point over here. The prenatal and antenatal care, which involves consumption of the nutrients, that is iron and folic acid tablets, that did not substantially increase among the women. It means women are getting themselves admitted into the hospitals only at the time of the delivery. It means more antenatal care we have, not the prenatal care. And after that, the neonatal and infant deaths also have decreased in India, because that is a continuum of the health care which we can see after the delivery. So it's a natural occurrence after that. But however, India did not see a remarkable progress with regard to the nutritional outcomes. If you carefully observe in India, the nutritional outcomes, or else it is one of the severely malnourished country. So height for age, it shows of the chronic malnutrition. Weight for age, it shows the acute malnutrition. So height for age, the chronic malnourished children, they are still at 39%. Weight for age, they are still at 29%. So now in this context, what it can be said is, the improvement of the safe drinking water and sanitation, they also have a multiplier effect on all these health deliverable outcomes. And the sanitation is the most neglected aspect in the healthcare delivery in India. And safe drinking water forms the next. These have to be corrected very soon. And the next important thing, it is related to the Chinese crisis. Now, China has reported already 7% growth the last year. Now, can I say really the Chinese economy is under crisis? More than the Chinese economy, all the world economies' reaction to the Chinese crisis that is more shocking. It exposes mostly the vulnerability of the European economies and also the American economy and the strength of the Chinese economy. So still the China is showing a good growth over here. Now let us see the Chinese economy from this perspective. I can divide the problems of China. One are due to emergency situations, small emergency steps which have been undertaken recently. And the other one is a structural shift in China. One is a structural shift, the other one is an emergency response and the reactions to this emergency response. Now from 2005 onwards, there was a strengthening of Chinese currency. So that's why the Chinese goods have become non-competitive in the international market. This has led to the shrinking of current account deficit of China, which has fallen from 10% to 2% now. So, because of the strengthening of the currency, there was they became non-competitive, but still, the China is the largest exporter in the world. And the second thing is, after 2008 recession, there is a general contraction in the global demand. So, after the recession, many countries they are not able to buy, affordable to buy any goods from outside. So, because of this, the China's economy or export-led economy has shown some slowdown. Now, if you take emergency response of the China has given a package of more than $500 billion to this, and to boost these exports, China has started again devaluating its currency. So devaluation of the currency and this particular $500 billion plus stimulus package given to the economy, it has given to some untoward consequences in China. The excessive expenditure onto the infrastructure, failure of the local governments, especially the teener positions, financial position of the local governments, and the collapse of the stock exchanges because of reasons remotely connected to this. All these factors, this can be said as emergency or short-term challenges to China. On the other hand, the China, till date, it is an export-led growth economy. It wanted to shift itself from export-led growth to the domestic consumption-led growth. It means it wants to nurture local demand. So what happened? In the entire Chinese growth phase, the wages in China were very less. So because of the low wages, the consumption is also very low. So whatever is produced, it is produced for the global consumption rather than for the Chinese consumption. Now slowly the China is trying to increase the salaries of its labor. So because of this labor costs also the products became uncompetitive, that is another thing. But however, once the wages and salaries they increase, then automatically local demand will be created. So that's what is the China is trying to do now. And the second thing is, China is structurally undergoing a change. There is a lot of innovation that is growing at the level of the China. If you can talk about renewable energy, the China is the leader to the world now. And with regard to the services sector, China is more and more shifting towards a value addition services rather than in a low labor or electronic goods, etc., export-led electronic goods, etc. It means high-cost value addition services China is moving towards. If you see the banking sector of China, it is competent to the best banks in the country, and probably Hong Kong being a part of China, it's a good advantage to it. Now, in this context, the China for the last almost 10 years, it has added up, it has grew more than 10% to the extent of almost the size of the economy increased by 80%. So if it is the case, if you observe, so the 7% of the growth shall not be seen as a small to the size of Chinese economy. But however, China's currency devaluation, what the reaction it has led into the global markets, it shows the vulnerability of the global markets rather than the China. So to what extent China can balance its long-term interest with the short-term interest, and keep or resist itself from intervening with the free markets, that will determine the course of the global economy and also the Chinese economy too. And next is Sri Lankan peace process. Let us try to understand the history of Sri Lanka over here a bit. So I am not going into the very history of Tamils over here. From the Elam War, I am trying to give you some information. In 2009, the Elam War was won by the Sri Lankan government. The LTTE was totally eliminated. So now, during the last phases of this war, a severe humanitarian crisis and human rights violations happened in the Sri Lanka. Now, 2011, United Nations has given a report which has accused the Sri Lankan army of the worst human rights violations. So the government did not agree, or I can say that it said that the report was biased and fraudulent. Now in this case, the government appointed LLRC, Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission. So this is a government-led investigation into the human rights violations. On the other hand, the Tamils were asking for an international probe into the human rights violations. The Sri Lankan government did not agree to it, and LLRC gave its report. So rights group, they dismissed this report as very much flawed. Now in this case, in 2013, Semi-Autonomous Council of Northern Province, so elections were held to that. Out of 38 seats, 30 were won by a Tamil party that is called Tamil National Alliance. Now, in the case of 2015, the elections were held, the parliamentary elections were held. Now here, generally the students gets confused. What all these are? Mahipala Sirisena, Chandrika Kumaratunge and Mr. Rajapaksa all belong to the same party. What exactly is going on over here? Understand that Sri Lankan Freedom Party, United National Party, these are the two major parties in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan Freedom Party, the Rajapaksa, Sirisena and Chandrika, all people belong to the Sri Lankan Freedom Party. Now, during the presidential election, the Sri Lankan Freedom Party, especially I'll make it into two groups. One is the Rajapaksa group, other one is Sirisena group. This Sirisena group has got the indirect support from United National Party, and because of this Sirisena became the Prime Minister. And the Sirisena was supported by United People Freedom Association. So Sri Lankan Freedom Party and other parties like JVP together formed UPFA. It's a coalition government kind of thing. Now in SLFE there is a party, there is a condition. The person who will be the president, he will also be the chairman of that particular political party. It means Sirisena being from the SLFP and he has a right to become the party president of Sri Lankan Freedom Party. Now, in this context, Rajapaksa has contested to the parliament, wanted to become the prime minister. So, in the elections held, the UNP, it has got the majority, but it was short of almost 7 seats. I think it is 113 they caught, though total size of the parliament was around 225. And around 95 were to the Sri Lankan Freedom Party. So, Sri Lankan Freedom Party, Mahipal Sirisena, as the chairman of Sri Lankan Freedom Party, he agreed with UNP to form the National Unity Government. This is how the national unity government has come into existence in Sri Lanka. Now, there is an assurance given by the Sri Lanka to the world. Some fresh initiatives were taken by the national unity government. The first one is setting up of a new constitution assembly. Now this new constitution assembly will find a permanent solution to the problem of the ethnic conflict. So what is expected is an inclusive republic. I can say that and a federation is very much on the cards. And the second thing is a commission will be appointed onto the human rights violations. The commission will be more working like a South African Mandela's commission, and this commission is called as Truth, Justice, Reconciliation and Non-Recurrence Commission. So this commission will say what exactly has happened. It tries to find solutions not to get this repeated again. So in these circumstances, a hopeful environment is prevailing now in Sri Lanka. In yesterday's class, if you remember, while talking about the Nepal, I told to you one point. Nowhere repression can be a solution for political disaffection. So power sharing on true autonomous basis can be a solution to the problem of ethnic crisis or identity crisis. So now the solution to the Sri Lanka lies in respecting the identity of the Tamils and providing for the transfer of the powers to these provinces. After that, India, Sri Lanka signed an agreement. So the 13th constitutional amendment was to be implemented and provinces were created, but these provinces were not given any powers. So now hopefully these provinces may get the powers in Sri Lanka. And the next is India reaches to North Korea. Why did India go all the way to North Korea? Onto the North Korean Independence Day, our Minister of State for Home, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, has visited the North Korean embassy. The reason is this: we need rare earth metals. These rare earths, they are very high in North Korea. So this is necessary for growing electronic industry in India. So economics have determined most of this reconciliation. So India and the United States, they are going to track up their particular decisions which are taken at the meetings of Prime Minister Modi and the President Barack Obama. So a cell will be placed that is called as Indian Rapid Reaction Cell in the Pentagon. It will take up a defense, trade and technology initiative, or else it will rapidly respond, cutting the bureaucratic hierarchies to make the decisions related to defense, trade and technology initiative, which was signed between the President Obama and Prime Minister Modi. So these are the important news of today. Okay, and finally, before going to that, our friend Shiv Vishwanathan, he wrote some good article today. So what he says is this: so any person's the belief and faith, it will determine his behavior, and this behavior will lead to the actions of an individual. So belief, faith leads to behavior and permanent actions. Now these actions can be temporarily influenced. So through mobilization politics or raising up the emotions, etc. But however, these actions are guided permanently by the belief and faith. Now this belief and faith is highly determined by the education. The existing government wanted to change this belief and faith patterns for changing the education itself. That is one dangerous sign. And second thing is, it is also wants to take the short-term advantages in elections to bringing in or playing one minority against the other minority, Jains against Muslims, or Muslims against Christians, etc. So, and it is trying to take up the mobilization politics to next level based on the religion and the practice of one religion use it to develop intolerance with the other religions. So these are the things which we need to be careful about. And he called these tactics of the, he has used the BJP as a pseudo-religion, pseudo-religious practices. So these are the issues today. Thank you very much.